Today on Making New Possible, I'm thrilled to welcome Kate Johnson, the Vice President and Director of Marketing at Northshore Bank. Kate is a strategic marketing executive with more than 2 decades of experience shaping brands across industries, from financial services to manufacturing. What's remarkable about her approach is the way she balances creativity with data, ensuring that every bold idea is grounded in a measurable business result. Throughout her career, Kate specialized in aligning sales and marketing, building collaborative teams, and leading change in organizations that want to do more than just keep up with the Joneses. They want to set the pace. At Northshore Bank, she's been behind some of the most creative community activations in its 100-plus year history, helping the bank live up to its promise of banking your best life. In our conversation, we'll explore the threshold moments that shaped her career, what it means to lead with authenticity in a traditional industry, and how strategic marketing can unlock what's next. Hi, Kate. Thanks
Hi.
for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited to have you be on the newly minted Making New Possible podcast.
I'm honored to be your host.
Well, we're going to talk today a little bit about creative rebellion, about marketing, about your own journey. But I think I'm going to start with kind of a basic question, which is, in your 20 years of experience across a variety of different industries, what's one marketing convention that you've consistently challenged, or maybe that's sparked rebellion for you?
First of all, it's scary to think it's been over 20 years. But, I would say something that I've always challenged, no matter what company I've been doing marketing for, is what we're saying, what we're marketing, what we're selling is actually what the customer experiences.
Ooh.
So, you can have the best positioning, the best messaging, the most differentiated brand story, but at the end of the day, if the customer doesn't actually experience that, no matter who they're going to, right? If we can't replicate that experience consistently,
Mm-hmm.
then I won't market it.
I mean, that's really bold, because I feel like there's like sort of a factioning around like marketing as the precursor to sales that can kind of feel a little sleazy. And I think there's some element of marketing that's like, we're creatives, we know best, we can make anything possible, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yep.
But I admire your like integrity, I guess, in that way. Like the idea that like you have to have that experience, customer experience align. Because otherwise, none of it works. I mean, it doesn't matter how catchy your campaign is.
I always think about this commercial that Morgan Stanley had many, many, many years ago, and it showed financial advisor at his client's daughter's wedding. And I was just, it's like, okay, how many times is that like really happening, right? Like, how many times are advisors really doing deep dive financial plans for their clients? I mean, I can tell you from experience, it's not 100% of the time.
No.
So yeah, I mean, and I think it's kind of my personality as well. I'm pretty honest, pretty black and white, pretty transparent. So that's just what I've brought to how I market it.
Honestly, and I like that framing as a rebellion, like a rebellion to maybe the institution of marketing. Like, we're going to be real here. You know what I mean? And we're going to be able to like show consistency and then deliver on those results, because that's really what you're getting at, is like, I want to be able to deliver holistically on what we're promising people.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you read something or like the features and the benefits, and you've gotten it home or you've signed up for it, and it's like, this is nothing like what they told me it was going to be.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of like leads me to my next question. You describe yourself as this like balance between creativity and facts and data. In marketing, obviously, you need to pull from both of those directions, right? Like that's really where like the art meets the science.
Yep.
How do you decide when to lean into instinct? Some of this is really like gut, you know what I mean? And when do you need to lean into, okay, this is the raw data, the analytics?
Yeah. So I know a lot of people kind of think like these two areas, creativity and facts and data, that there's no way that those two could be pulling in the same direction with each other. And I actually kind of believe that they do. So this is going to be shocking, but given my personality, right, and being very honest, very transparent, I do lead with data. I just do. But I use data to drive like where should the creativity be?
Interesting.
This is just my opinion, but I think that creativity can be used to either lean into the facts or the data,
Okay.
support the data, or you can use creativity to change the data, right? It comes down to the industry you're in, the market that you're playing in, the culture of the company you're in, what your budget is, who your
Sure.
competitors are, right? There's so many variables that are going to play into that decision.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I do believe that that data and facts should drive your creativity.
Yeah.
I've also worked in a very practical industry, obviously, for a very long time.
Right, exactly. Well, I guess I would be sort of shocked to hear that you were like all instinct, never look at the numbers, like working in banking. That might be a little bit actually frightening. Can you think of maybe an example of where you've let data lead the creativity? Like where has that worked out for you?
A lot of times I will use customer satisfaction studies, right, to
Okay.
get a pulse on how are we doing? Where are we just outperforming? And where should we kind of double down? And where are we maybe a little light compared to what we're saying, and we should maybe scale back a little bit, or we should think about if this is really important to us, are there steps we can take to make that experience better or that
Mm,
benefit stronger, right?
sure.
So yeah, I mean, I use the voice of the customer really a lot.
All right, let me ask you a hot take that was not in our prepared questions here.
Yes. Uh-oh.
After all these years, isn't there some part of me that feels like the customer doesn't really know what they want? Obviously, we do a ton of surveying too. You know what I mean? Like post experience, we want to know what people think. And I always feel like it's hard for me to always take that direct customer feedback like as sacrosanct as maybe some of the other like analytics we can
Yeah.
pull on campaigns because I feel like sometimes people don't know that the benefit
They
you're
don't know that they
offering
need an
is the
iPod.
benefit. Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
They would never articulate that. But
Yeah.
I would come back to is that the company that I'm working for? Are they looking for the iPod? I can
Sure.
tell you with certainty, I have never worked for a company that was looking for that breakout that's going to lead the industry in something,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's when I've looked for new career opportunities, that plays into what I've looked for as well.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
So, I mean, and we're asking like, around our brand positioning statement. So it's not like we're asking, what do you wish would happen when you log into online banking,
Sure,
right?
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. Something that's maybe a little bit more nebulous and they don't really
Yeah,
know what
we're
the options
very
are. Yeah.
giving them the framework to evaluate us,
Yeah.
basically.
I think that's helpful. That makes sense. Well, to that end, when you think back about your career, whether it's Baird or M&I, Northshore Bank, do you have a defining moment that sort of like shaped this approach that you have or your like leadership in this space?
I mean, I think I've always taken this approach, always.
Hmm.
I I would say so everybody has kind of like that best manager or that mentor, right? That really um kind of maybe shaped how you approach things. For me, it was just how I approach leadership.
Okay.
So when I was at M&I, actually Jeff Mackey, shout out to you if you're listening. He hired me, and hands down, the very best manager I've ever had in my career. And I strive to be like him,
Mm,
like every day. I can say I don't live up to that. I'll never be as good as he is, but
stop.
when you watch someone just always be professional, over communicating, being transparent, like it was just so, and it comes so easy.
Hmm. Hmm.
It just really inspired me to be like that, to model my leadership after that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think we've all had that. I mean, I'm sure you've had that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think over time, you always have someone that you really want to emulate or that
Hmm.
sort of defines what you think leadership means. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes it happens in the reverse. Like, you have a leader that you're like, oh God,
Oh
I hope I
yeah.
never,
I've had
I'm going to
so
try to be the exact opposite of that. You know?
many of those.
Yeah. for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So when you think about, your past experience, like when does marketing stop being like a support function and when does it start to really drive business strategy? Because obviously we are not necessarily, we're like somewhere between like the proper revenue driving functions of the business. We're not exactly a sunken cost the way maybe like IT or HR would be, but you know what I mean? Like how do you really draw that line and ensure that like what you're doing has a real ROI?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have some wins initially, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I don't care how small they are, but you have to demonstrate value
Mhm.
somehow, some way, first and foremost. And then it's kind of just letting that cascade. So for me, like what happens that, or what do I see that's showing me that marketing is becoming more kind of at the seat at the table with the other C-level execs?
Mhm.
Can tell you it's when we stop being the last stop before a product launch. We s-
Ah,
right? We stop being the make it pretty department.
sure. Yeah, yeah. We're not just like, you know
Like
what I mean,
here, we
putting the
wrote
bow on
all
it.
of this, just make it look good, right?
Mhm.
So marketing starts to have a seat at the table for everything, whether that's product development, whether that's looking at fees.
Interesting. Like actually shaping the product itself. Yeah.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. Or shaping the how d how does this fit with our brand? How does it fit with our messaging? How
Mhm.
are we gonna communicate it? Does this shoot us in the foot with something that we've been working on for years and years and years to get us positioned in the marketplace as, A, and now we're gonna throw all of that out the window because we're gonna charge for something, right? Like,
Mhm.
marketing becomes a core, like, piece of everything that happens at the company. Sales
Mhm.
conversations, technology investments. Yeah. I mean, and again, it just starts with small wins. Like,
Mhm.
you have to get that trust. You have to.
From the other like areas of the business, you mean? The
Yeah,
other leaders of the business. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true for most functions, you know what I mean? Or most like high functioning teams. You know what I mean? Like
Except
trust
you don't
comes
see, like,
first.
accounting being brought into everything. You don't,
No, you don't.
you know
No.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
different.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think it is way more influential when you are at the beginning of the story rather than being asked to be the one that, like, I don't know, makes it work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
It's
it's
like,
already decided.
yeah, here's what we want to do. You figure out how to do it.
Hmm.
Or you figure out how to tell our customers about it. And it's like, well, we
Yeah,
haven't done it
this
that
is gonna be
way, but
rough. Yeah,
okay.
like, in an instant. You know what I mean? Like this isn't
Yeah,
gonna fly.
yeah.
Okay, so tell me an example of like a pivotal before and after moment for you that you've had at Northshore Bank. Like maybe it's something you've tried to launch, something that earns some of that trust you're talking about.
You're gonna find this example quite silly, but so when I first started, it was like within my first week or two of being here. My manager took me out to visit a bunch of our branch offices that were around our corporate office. And so we were driving together. And as we were driving to each office, I kept trying to remember, like, am I looking for a green sign outside of our building or a blue sign? Like, what?
I mean, like literally the monument you were thinking?
Literally,
Yeah, okay.
literally the sign in front of our real estate, right? Because I
Uh-huh.
wanted to just be like, like we're gonna, oh, there's our branch, right?
Mhm.
And so I was struggling to remember like what color sign, and here's why. So I was exposed up to this point to things like our website, my business cards, advertising that we've done, some of our flyers, things like that was all blue. All of it
Sure.
was blue, except for our building signage,
Yeah.
which was green.
Uh-huh.
And I had the hardest time, like, I'm like, that is so odd because our real estate is our most expensive marketing investment.
Oh yeah,
Hands
because it's literally a physical sign every
Yeah, I
place you
mean,
are. And they're all on major thoroughfares. You know what
yep,
I mean?
it's
Yeah.
millions of dollars of investment, right? In each branch. So I was looking at that and I'm like, man, this is not helping the cause, right? It is not helping with brand awareness. It is inconsistent as all get out. And that's where I started, was sitting down with leadership and sharing just visuals and being
Right.
like, you know what? we got to get all of this like much more consistent than what we're doing now. And so it's like, it was blocking and tackling, business cards, letterhead, website. We didn't do it all at once because you can imagine just the
Sure.
investment even in that.
Right.
But it was, it had to be done. It had to be done. We had to start with, if we're going to build brand awareness, if we're going to grow our market, grow our customer base, grow our bank, I'll
You
look
need some consistency. You need to
right.
decide what the brand is. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Even internally with things like letterhead. Yeah, that makes sense.
So simple, so
Hmm.
simple. So that's where I started. And it was so powerful. It's like after we flipped over our business cards and people started, ordering business cards because they were running out and whatnot. When we flipped the website, like it was like piece by piece as it was falling in place. You could just see people were like, oh, I get it.
Hmm.
Get
Hmm.
it, right? It was a great win. From there I took us to be 100% digital.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know if I want to say this or not, but I'm gonna. So when I started here at North Shore, I'm looking through the budget and there is a line item for yellow pages. Now
No.
I started in
No.
2019.
Stop. I didn't even know the yellow pages are still a thing.
Apparently they were. Apparently they were. So then I took us 100% digital, right? So it was like kind of like this gradual like
Hmm.
tidal wave of change,
Right.
right? Um, I do have another example. Obviously, it's on this tidal wave of change, right? It's little things that build that trust, that build that like we want to invest more in marketing. So I mentioned I started in April of 2019.
Hmm.
So less than a year after I started, the big C word happened, COVID.
Right.
And we had literally just inked an agreement with Milwaukee, with your firm, to
Hmm.
sponsor a bunch of community events, right?
Hmm.
Then COVID happened and there were no events.
Right.
It was like, oh shoot.
Hmm.
Oh shoot. What are we gonna do?
Right.
And so you proposed taking the time, let's focus on our people. Like,
Hmm.
okay, we can't be out in the community right now. Let's turn internally.
Hmm.
And you built our community engagement manager program, which
Hmm.
was, you look back at it now and it's like, man, that was pivotal. That was investing in our branch managers to become the beacons of their community, right?
Hmm.
Like, I think years ago, and I'm talking like probably 20, 30 years ago, like bank branch managers were embedded in their communities, right? They were involved in the community organizations, whether that's a chamber or a Kiwanis or whatever it is.
Right.
And over time, as these managers retired, over time, as the transaction volume or just the people, customer volume going into branches, as that started to dwindle, branch managers, I think, kind of either lost the importance of being involved in the community or lost the time and the blessing of the organization that you should be out in the community.
Yeah, you should
It's
be a public
so,
figure in some ways. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
a trusted voice, an expert. You know what I mean?
yeah, the
Hmm.
connector,
Right. Exactly.
right? Who do you go to when you need whatever? Whether it's a loan, whether it's not even financial related. It's like our branch managers were
Well,
that.
they were really the bank was like another third space. You know what I
You're
mean? So
right.
like they were the
Right.
first one to know like, hey, there's a new restaurant coming to
Yep.
the main street. And you know what? This person's looking for this other thing. Like I actually have they had like the town square secrets in some
Right.
way. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It
you're
could be
right.
an arbiter for like connection. Like,
You're
you know who
right.
I think you need to know and talk to is so and so because everyone would come into the branch.
So COVID, pulling back on events, you helped us see we should turn internally to our own people, build them, train them as community engagement managers. And so when the world opened back up again, it was this amazing opportunity to just kind of reintroduce ourselves to the community, really commit to taking action and being present in the community beyond just having a branch.
Yeah, I think I really applaud you. Well, I've told you this. I'm incredibly grateful for you that you said yes in that moment because as you can imagine, being in a company that was primarily in the production of events, 2020 was a very scary time. And so the idea, that we had like, well, why don't we do some preparation
Yeah.
and really like figure out a way to dial up and have our team be ready for when the world opens back up. Like, I'm eternally grateful for you having said yes to that, because we did not have that program built when we offered it to you. We built it custom for you. And so your willingness to sort of
Yeah.
co-create with us is, I will
And it
forever and
was,
ever
it's
be
a game.
indebted to you. I will say, though, I think a lot of regional banks call themselves a community bank because it sounds nicer than
Mm,
small.
mm,
We're small. It's their
mhm.
like euphemism for small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the thing that we challenged the bank branch managers and the district managers, because we've had in every cohort
Yep.
multiple versions of that. What we've challenged them to be is the center of their communities, to be that beacon, to be the go-to person, and to really flip on its head, what does it mean to be a community bank? You know what I mean?
Mm,
And that
100%.
sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it means like saying no to the tiny one-off sponsorship request because there's no real value in either direction. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, we want
Yes.
to have
Mhm.
meaning and impact
Yep.
wherever Northshore Bank stands up. And having the CEMs be really like not just articulated in that as like a philosophy, but like bullish about it and seeing their own professional development. I mean, for some folks, this is their 5th year going through the program. It is phenomenal. Like the development, how they've gone from, in some cases, really kind of like shy, quiet
Yeah.
bank managers. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
good at their job, you know what I mean? Efficient workers, but like now they have like
I
flourished as
know.
like real personalities, you know what I
Yes.
mean? That are like
Yes.
being nominated to the, not just to be on a volunteer board, but to be the president of the
Yeah.
chamber. You know what I mean? Like to actually
Yeah.
have a real role in wherever they're located because they've been seen as this, person that really matters, that really cares, that consistently shows up time and time again. And obviously the bank yields all kinds of things from that. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I think it really falls within the brand awareness category, but
Mhm.
we have examples every time we convene them across the board of people saying, and I got new business from this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like this
Yep.
really does take people down the funnel
Yep.
from
It's such a
awareness to
game
interest to
changer.
consideration to purchase.
Such a
Um,
game changer.
yeah. It's
So, I
been
mean,
really, really phenomenal. And we've been doing it long enough now. We have real coverage over your whole market.
we
Like
do.
almost every
Do.
market has 1 or 2 people that overlap. And so
Yep.
it feels like there's some real consistency to that drumbeat 5 years later.
And I feel like because we are a community bank, because we are a mutual bank, we were able to take the long-term play on this
Hmm.
strategy. This isn't
Right.
something that you're gonna roll out and immediately see payback, right?
Right.
It's it takes time. It takes
Hmm.
time to embed yourself in the community. It takes time to get confidence to go out and do those things,
Oh,
right?
yeah. That and there's some parts of this that we wholly can't control, whether or not, you know what I mean? Like, an organization gets back to you and actually wants to partner
Yeah.
with the bank is like, there we have all kinds of ways we talk about being more effective in communicating or following up and having really thoughtful follow through. But yeah, it's a two-way street. You know what I mean? To have
It
this
is.
be really happening, to have real relationships and not just transactions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
It does. And I'm so proud of the bank for, I mean, taking a chance on it. It was
Mhm.
a chance, and sticking to it.
Yeah, obviously I'm very grateful to you as a long-term partner. I think we had, if I could be totally transparent, an idea that this would work and like a real deep hope that we could figure it out along the way. But it has been phenomenal to see
Yeah.
it actually yield results over time.
Yeah.
Like really on multiple levels, the interpersonal level all the way out to the way that it's affected the business in those districts. Like it has been amazing to be able to sister to the bank and ride this all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, we've collaborated on a couple of other things too. I know you've let us convince you to do large scale art installations like the Be Kind parklets.
Mhm.
We've even convinced you not just to sponsor cultural activities, but to build your own, like
Yep.
Southside Dining Week, which
Yep.
I think, again, maybe took a little convincing to do something like brand new in that way.
Yep.
I'm wondering, how have those community engagements transformed your team's approach to brand awareness and or storytelling? Like, how does that tuck into your broader strategy?
So you hit the nail on the head. Like those activations, they are completely unique to North Shore. They are ours, right? So
Hmm.
we're not just handing money over to somebody to go and, slap our logo on everything. And so that's been eye-opening for my team because it's a lot of work, right?
Mm,
So we
true.
we have to like commit as an organization to those activations. But the benefit of having them is that every aspect of that activation is tailored to us. It's tailored to who we are as a bank, what our brand message is, and then what the unique attributes are of the community that we're targeting.
Right.
I mean, how often do you get that from something that exists already that you're going to sponsor?
Almost never. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, you're hoping that like you're aligned to the right target demo and that
Right.
you'll get enough exposure to it through that sponsorship. But yeah, that curation means that like the Be Kind parklets could be exactly
Yeah.
you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And
Exactly in your
tailored to the
locations.
community. Like look at
Exactly.
North End, right?
Hmm.
In downtown Milwaukee. It our branch has a huge like piece of grass right in front
Right.
of it.
Right. You had a parklet without even knowing you had a parklet. It was just something
Right.
you had to mow.
Right. And so what do we do? We did dog activations. Like it
Right.
makes because it was already being used for something like that, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like so like the activations around that were just so custom.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the benefit to be able to build it exactly as you want it. But again, it's also a challenge. It's a challenge because we're responsible for everything, right? The
Hmm.
promotion, the PR, the engagement. So it's just, I think my team goes in now with eyes wide open when a branch manager wants to do something new that's not, doesn't currently exist. And we can counsel a lot better
Oh,
now that
that's
we
true. I
have our,
hadn't thought of that. That actually, like, your core marketing team can be an even better consultant to the many
oh, yeah.
different areas you are because they have more experience with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And even when we're just looking at event sponsorships,
Hmm.
to be able to help the branch manager see like where a sponsorship might be weak
Sure.
or where, more benefits could be potentially added or what else should we ask for or what should we be looking for? Doing it yourself, you just kind of see things from a lot of different angles, I guess.
To be honest with you, we I wish we had been more successful in convincing more people to build their own custom experiences because I think that last piece, having planned thousands of community events in the
Yeah.
last 2 decades, I don't think most sponsors, potential sponsors, understand that this can be a two-way conversation. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that we
Yes.
need sponsors to make those things happen. And so if there are specific KPIs that don't show up on the little rack card with the
Yes.
like sponsorship benefits, that
Talk to us.
rather than saying, you know what, this doesn't work for us,
Hmm.
like that can be more of a dynamic conversation. I think over time we've gotten a lot better at explaining that and finding ways to say like, no, but there is a real value. What if we were to do X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
instead? But I think that's been one of my favorite parts about watching some of the community engagement managers grow is now that they wear two hats, bank manager slash
Mhm.
CM for North Shore Bank, but they're also president of the chamber. They're the ones that have to make those rack sheets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of what the benefits are. And I feel like they're also doing a better job, like,
Mhm.
in their community role of saying, you know what, guys, what we're offering here isn't really valuable.
Yeah.
We know we need sponsors to make this happen and to keep it free or low cost for,
Mhm.
residents to go to. But what we need to offer is something that just has more tooth to it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that feels like, you know what I mean? It's going to be good for the event and it's going to be good for our organization, but it's
Yep.
also going to be
Good for
something that
the
people want to come
community.
back
Yep.
to
Yep.
because I just think there's a lot of churn. There's a lot of natural churn with sponsors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
is that it's easy. It's easy for that to be something that you're always sort of chasing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I really appreciate your like willingness to sort of bend and find new ways. I know when we were talking about this, you're like, I don't know if I think of myself as a creative rebel. And I was like, no, I definitely do. I can't think of another bank that has ever said yes to the wild things we've said
But
yes to.
and in all fairness, not everything we've tried's worked,
Oh,
right?
that's true. No, I
Look at
agree.
the
I mean, we
welcome
definitely
party.
think we've been experimental and thought, okay, not that. That
We
didn't
tried a
work.
couple times on welcome party, and it was like, it's just not
Doesn't have the traction. Right.
handing out, and
Exactly.
that's all right.
Yeah. So what's the
Completely all
next
right.
thing?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I want to come back to you a little bit and talk a little bit more about your like leadership, if you don't mind. Running these large scale activations requires more than strategy, as we've talked about. It requires authenticity. And I guess that's maybe the best way I would describe what our relationship has been like. I have felt you bring your whole self to these initiatives.
Hmm.
And so I'm just wondering, like, is that just you, Kate Johnson, or is that an ethos that you learned from Jeff? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that in leading these types of initiatives?
I, Boy, Ange, I feel like, and maybe this is just my perception. I feel like it's who I am.
Okay.
Right? It comes back to like how I market and whatnot. I think if I'm not all in on something, then I can't expect anyone else at the company to be all in on it. And if we're
Oh,
not all in on it, it's not going to work.
I guess you do have that. Maybe that's your black and white personality. Like, I feel like I can read that on you. Like, Kate's nodding or it's a no. You are kind of like a hell yes or a hell no.
It's true that, yeah. And I'm not saying that even if I start as a no, I could be convinced as a yes. So I don't want to say like I'm like, not open to persuasion. But yeah, I mean, I think there's an element of me that's part of that.
Is it something you've cultivated over time or needed to cultivate? Was there a moment in time when you didn't feel like you could be as wholly you
Hmm.
in leading your
I
team?
I would suppose earlier in my career, um, right? Like I'm not certain I had the confidence to lead with my convictions. And a lot of it depends on the team that you're leading. Now, did I make all of these changes like the first week that I started at North Shore? No. It's
No, yeah.
right. It's
Well, and
all
you have some background in change management. So I
hmm
feel like you know what it is to bring people along
yeah.
when introducing something new.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right. It's not hard. You got to communicate where we're going, and then you have to give people the tools, right?
Hmm.
To actually be able to do what you need them to do to get to where we're going. And then you just have to like communicate and communicate and communicate and communicate again. And I mean, I honestly feel like it's so simple, but communication is like, I mean, I even look at like my husband and I, and it's just like, if we're going to be successful, we have to communicate, right? Like everything in life, if you are not communicating and you're not being honest, like you're going to have a tough go of it,
Hmm.
right? So, yeah, I mean, it just seems kind of simple.
Yeah. It does make me feel like I wish people were paying closer attention though, because I think, the fact that you have to tell people things a
I
half a
know,
dozen times before they like
man.
click. Like, don't you wish as a marketer you could be like, I already said it once. Don't you
Yeah, I
just
mean it's getting worse, right? People's
right.
attention spans are just like
Zapped.
they don't read anymore.
Mm-mm.
And okay, so they're watching videos, but if you're not grabbing them in the first few seconds, forget it.
No, they're moving on.
It's tough. I mean, I think about the evolution that marketing has taken in my 20 plus years. It's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, used to be able to, for example, bank needed to raise deposits and throw some ads in the newspaper with a decent rate on a CD and money would just flow in. That's not even an option anymore. Like
No.
newspapers don't even have like distribution anymore to make that
Mm-mm.
even viable.
Yeah,
So
first you got to find the right channels because there's
yeah,
just, I mean, so many different channels.
yeah.
And then even then,
Then you
like
have to grab
gathering people's
attention.
attention on the channels, just because you're in the distribution doesn't mean that they're going to be
Exactly.
paying attention.
Exactly. It's hard. It's gotten really hard.
I know, and sometimes I feel frustrated about that, and other times I feel inspired by it. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm not in the era of Mad Men where I have like a pithy tagline, and then you're right, like a set of ads on the
Right?
one of the three TV stations, you know what I mean, that
Yes.
existed, and you can
Yes.
instantly print money. But I
Right.
am a part of this next evolution, and there is a part of my brain that feels excited about
Mm.
the Rubik's Cube of that and like, all right, what is it going to be? How are we going to do this? And, I've even talked about like, does some of this go back to some like old school tactics? Like maybe it's not the yellow pages, but
But direct mail, like,
direct
what?
mail. Like,
Oh my
will
gosh, we
people
love
see
it.
a physical piece of
Yes.
mail? You know what I mean? And will that
Yes.
intercept them?
Who doesn't
You know what
love
I mean?
getting mail?
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess maybe I'll have you sum everything up with like what would you say your marketing philosophy is in a word?
This is gonna be a big shocker. And you did give this question to me ahead of time, full disclosure, so it's not like
Yeah, coming
but
off the
the
top.
very first word that came to mind was practical.
Mm,
I'm very practical. And I would put it to you this way, it's like understand what your constraints are,
hmm
build your plan within those constraints, and then use the results to change your future
And
constraints.
to iterate.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's very practical.
I think when people think, oh, they're a practical person, I think they're maybe rigid. And what I would ascribe to you is that last piece that you're always willing to iterate.
You
You know what I
have
mean? Like
you have
that
to.
that this is an evolving thing. It's a dynamic environment we're working with. And
Yeah.
so to think that the same thing you can do even a year later and
Yeah.
have the same results it's not true. You're going
Yeah.
to have to continue to try something new.
Agree. Um, I'm gonna turn the tables and I'm gonna ask you a question.
Sure.
So obviously community engagement is super important to North Shore, right?
hmm
And we really look to you and Milwaukee to kind of help us get a pulse on like what's going on with community engagement so that we can be fresh and new, right?
hmm
And meet people at the space that they're in. So I guess what are you seeing as you look at the lay of the land? Any emerging trends coming out with community engagement or just experiential marketing?
That's really interesting. I think part of it is building on what we already said. I feel like more tactile, the better, right? Like, I think people, while they're addicted to their phones, really do crave in person. They crave being in person and they crave the like sort of surprise and delight of something that's maybe larger than life or something they can physically move through. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That
Yeah.
sort of thing. Some of it, again, drives back to like, because they can take a picture and then put it in their virtual life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think we have to sort of like recognize that. I have an instinct that things will go even more local. Like,
Okay.
I think that there's a fatigue that I sense with the way that people are being bombarded with information. And that, you know what I mean? That can be ads, but it can also just be like political information and, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? News
Yeah.
in general. And
Yeah.
I think the reaction to that I don't have a solution for, but I'm very curious about is even seeing like this trend with Gen Z and some older Gen Alpha to like opt into a flip phone. Like I need a phone because
Yeah.
I need to be able to text and call people, but I actually like to live more of an offline life. And
Yeah.
I think we've spent the last 15 years as marketers really beefing up all of our online and our digital experiences. And I think, we're at the precipice of AI and being able
Mhm.
to like do really custom tailored, personalization. All of that's really exciting to me, but it
Mhm.
only works if like people have a smartphone.
You're
Like
right.
this idea of like, oh wow, like
You're
if I'm
right.
gonna I'm gonna literally just opt out of that is
Mhm.
curious for me. I think it's something that we're playing with. Like I said, even in some of the community events we've been doing, we've resorted to things like posters. Like, can we put
Oh,
up posters? You know what I mean? Because people
yeah.
might actually see them when they're at a collectivo or something else.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
it has a QR code on it. You know what I mean? So we realize people are
Yeah.
going to
100%.
migrate from physical to a digital world. But I think that interplay is the most interesting to me. And I think we'll get spicy. Like, I just feel like there was a big reaction, like digital, digital, digital. And that, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
only works if people stay digital. And if there's like a
Yeah.
collective exhaustion or people want to be done, or like, I think there's another kick the can on what's happening with TikTok with the federal
Yeah.
administration, but like if a whole platform gets shut down,
Right.
like what happens then?
Right. Right.
And that's curious to me. It's
Yeah.
very curious and exciting. Like I feel like it means that this is very dynamic.
It's interesting you say posters because one of the features of every single one of our branch offices is a community board.
Oh, I love that. Like an actual like tag board you can
Yep.
pin. I love it.
Magnetic, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that and they're full. They're
Oh, I'm sure they
full
are.
of things that
Yeah, that people have
are
going
going on
on that they
TV.
want to let people know about. Oh, I love that
Mhm.
actually. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Right? It feels very flip
I don't
phone
know, that
old
sort of like
school-y, but
hometown feeling.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the brands that can tap into really what does it mean to be local? What are the shared
Yeah.
values of this particular neighborhood or the particular city we're in are the ones that are going to win. Because I just think people know they're being marketed to and
Yeah.
they prefer to opt into something they feel like they can reach for,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to financial institutions. Like, I think you're really well positioned in that way because
Mhm.
it's scary. It's scary with all the like potential cyber attacks. And you know what I mean? Like, you want to have like a person, you want to know that there's a person attached to where you're putting your money.
Yep. Yep. An advocate. Yep. You can walk right in the door and share your issue and get help.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate you turning the tables on me. I think that's great. All right, my last question for you is if you could go back, let's, you know what I mean, make it 1999 again.
Ugh.
What advice would you give to your younger self entering, the marketing space in the banking sector?
Ugh. Ugh. I I spent some time thinking about this. Um, the 90s. What would I say to myself? I think I would say, Kate, hold on tight, because it is going to be a wild ride. You are going to see economic cycles and events that are completely beyond your control. And
Hmm.
they're going to rock your world in terms of marketing and what you do day in and day out.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some really good times too. And make sure that when you're in those good times, savor them.
I love
Savor them
that.
for all that they're worth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I would say.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for exploring all the ways you have made new possible. I really appreciate it, Kate.